What's up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Bearded Wholesome and All Things Baltimore, Season 5, Episode 2. I'm the host, Matt Trigger, and with me today is a special guest. I'd like to consider him a friend these days. He is the Ravens Longsnapper, currently on the team, and he is enjoying his off season now. We'll talk a little bit about that, but Nick Moore is joining the show today. Nick, what's going on, man?
Hey Matt, how are you, man? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming back on, man. It's been about 8 or 9 months since we last talked, and a lot's going on in the last time you were on the show. First and foremost, how is fatherhood treating you?
Oh, it's great. My wife and I, we love it. Little man just turned 1 earlier in January. Just he's keeping us young, making us run around the house. He's been walking for almost 3 months now, and
That's fun stuff right
he's
there.
just nonstop, go go go. So it's we're having a blast.
One is a fun birthday, smashing the cake and getting messy and taking the cool pictures and all that. I'm sure that you
Yeah,
guys are loving that.
yeah. We tried to set it up and make it look all cool and everything, but he knocked over the. We made the mistake of putting the cake on the cake stand, and he knocked over the cake stand and fell on fell in the rug, got dog hair all over it. So
Oh
it was
man,
not edible, but it was fun.
we did her cake on a plate and just let her put her hands all through it. She got it
Yeah,
all over her face. That was a good. We had her in her high chair. We just did it at home. It was nice though. Parenthood's fun, man. It's challenging, but it's fun. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
yeah.
So, how's the injury recovery going? All the Ravens fans that listen to the show, they know that you went down earlier in the season with an Achilles injury. How's the recovery coming along?
Yeah, the recovery is coming along pretty well. I'm 6 months as of yesterday, um, and it's been a very challenging process. It's been a long process. Um, Still got a couple months to go before I'm all the way back to normal, but I'm making a lot of strides in the right direction, and I think we have a good plan going forward. I should be ready to rock by April. So excited to get back out there in April and May and June for OTAs and minicamp, and just I miss playing football. This year was tough. Obviously, the team did really really well, and I was a little jealous I wasn't able to be out there. So I look forward to the days of not having to go to rehab and not having to miss out on football.
I understand the team did very well this year. Not the ending that we were all hoping for. Um, it's just one of those situations where coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's tough to harp on, and I know you wanted to be out there with your guys. And I did want to ask you one question about last Sunday. I'm not going to go into the we should have ran the ball. That is so subjective, and none of us are NFL coaches or players, so that's merely opinionated stances as opposed to fact. None of us are in that room. None of us are in those meetings. So that's very hard to say as a casual fan or even a super fan. Um, a lot was made in the last couple of days about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey with Justin, and I'm not asking you to be disparaging in any way. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Um, do you think it was blown out of proportion, or do you think that there was merit to people being about it?
I wasn't out there when it happened. I think Justin he does the same thing every time he goes to warm up, and he's been doing it for 12 years. That's not the first time we played the Chiefs, so it's not the first time that they have been exposed to that what he does. Um, when we go out on the field, we go out early before the other teams warm up, and or before they're doing the mandatory team warm up, with everybody out there and their pads and stuff like that. That's our only time to work, and you know, it's I don't necessarily agree with what they did. As far as I know, I think Patrick asked Justin to move his helmet, and then he moved it, and then Patrick moved, and then he ended up being in the helmet ended up being in the way again, and then that's when we saw uh, Travis throw his helmet in the balls. I think I think that situation could have been handled a lot differently. All three of those guys have been in the league for a very long time, and they're all three top at what they do in the league. And I just feel like it was kind of disrespectful to Justin that they weren't, they didn't handle that situation differently. And I've heard some things that Travis has said and Justin has said, and it is what it is. I don't necessarily like what happened. I think it was very unprofessional by Travis, and hopefully he doesn't make that same mistake again.
Yeah, Travis has obviously got a huge platform with his brother on New Heights, and he said some rather unsavory things about Justin's character, and I know that it's biased with us because you're his teammate. You're very close with him, being as though you guys are special teams,
Mm-hmm.
and um, it doesn't seem like it's in Tucker's character to be that type of person. And Kelsey is in a different stratosphere now in terms of just overall popularity. So I've seen it as just a casual football. I mean, not a casual football fan. I'm a diehard fan, but just seeing him here and there, it seems more and more like the whole Swift thing and being pop mogul's boyfriend is now like
Yeah.
making him feel a bit more invincible. But I don't really want to harp on this situation too much. I just wanted to ask you. I wasn't gonna,
No,
make a
I definitely think that Justin's class act. He's one of the most.
absolutely
He's got the. He's one of the most stand-up guys I know. He would never intentionally do something to get in the way. I mean, if anybody pays attention to Justin, which a lot of people do, because a lot of people consider him to be the best kicker in the NFL history. He does the exact same thing every time he goes out. So, he's been doing the same thing for 12 years. He always goes out, puts his helmet on the left hash with the balls right there, the sticks right there. He does his warm up right there. He starts kicking right there. So we go out early to kick on their side of the field so that we are out of their way when it's their turn, when they come out as a team to start warming up. So when the running backs and the returners and stuff like that come out, we are no longer in their way. So that was our time to warm up. And I 100% think that Travis and Pat were in the wrong. I understand they're trying to get their work in, but that's our only time to warm up before the game. And when the team comes out, we can't be out there kicking balls. That's just not acceptable. And so we don't have a choice but to go out early and get our work in. And so I don't agree with anything that Travis said about how the situation should have been handled with as far as Justin. Justin had the right to be there, just like Harrison was on our side of the field at the same exact time.
There was different camera angles that showed that.
Yeah, it was in my opinion, it was a Bush League move from Travis. I think it was kind of, I think maybe he was trying to send a message, like we're here to go or something, because they were the underdogs coming into Baltimore. But I think it was a Bush League move, and how he's handled the situation, in my opinion, has been very unprofessional and disrespectful to a guy that didn't do anything. Justin was doing what he's always done, getting ready for a game, just like they were trying to do. And he moved it when he was asked to move it. And then Pat moved, and it's like, what do you want me to do? I already moved it once. I can move it again, but you got to ask me. You can't just throw my stuff. So,
Yeah, it looked crazy when he just started tossing the helmet and the equipment. I'm just like, really, like, come on, guy. It's not. All you got to do is ask, can you move over like 5 feet, and it would have been completely.
Yeah, that's our time. Like that, we have priority on the field right there. That's our time. That's
Right,
our only time to warm up. And I just don't. I think being a guy who is considered to be a stand-up guy and has been in the league for a long time and is highly regarded by a lot of people, and not just football, to act like that in that kind of a moment, to me, is very childish and immature. And I don't think, it was very disrespectful to Justin, and I think it was disrespectful to the game of football.
Yeah, that was like you put the term perfectly a few minutes ago. It was definitely Bush League, and um, it kind of set the tone for how the game went. It got rather chippy very fast, and
yeah, which we knew it was going to be like that. That big game, rival teams. They ended up winning. They played a good game. and that was one of the best games they played all season. And that's not to, I'm not taking anything away from that. Travis is a great football player, and I do like listening to New Heights. I think it's a great show, and I love Jason. And I got a lot of respect.
We love Jason more.
Yeah, I don't agree with what he did. I think it was, I think that's something you maybe get from a guy who's never been in that situation before. But you've been in the NFC or AFC Championship 6 years in a row. You're a 2-time Super Bowl champ. You've been in the league 12 years. What are you doing? Like, that's
Right.
just you don't do that. If you do it, it's because you're doing it, and you have a good rapport with the guy that you're doing it to, and it's a joke. And then you go pick up the stuff and you laugh it off like, haha, I was just kidding. Can you get this out of the way, please? But he definitely did not come from a place of laughter or making fun or, joking. He was dead serious. And, I think it was garbage. So that's all I'll say about that.
Hey,
Yeah,
we can move on, man. Thank you for
yeah,
elaborating the way that you did.
of course.
Now that, the season's in the rear view, you're focused fully on your recovery and you want to be back out there come OTAs. What's been the biggest hurdle for you physically and mentally with your injury and the recovery in itself?
I think, I think mentally the hardest part was just not being out there. Team does really, the team played really, really well this year. They had a great season, and those seasons don't come around very often. It's not. I've been on the team here 4 years, and we've had some good years, but for the most part, we've been, we've made the playoffs or last in 2022, lost in the first round, missed the playoffs in 2021. 2020, I was on practice squad, so I wasn't really involved, but we did win a playoff game and things like that. But, as a player, you always want to be in a situation where you have a chance, you win the division, you get the bye week, you get to host the playoffs. I mean, that's why we play the game. We want to be in those kind of environments. And, it was unfortunate that I missed that because I really wanted to be there. And then, I not that my position does a whole lot to impact the game, but it would have been a lot of fun to be out there with the
It
guys
does
and
impact the game, though,
the
Nick.
whole season. It does, yeah. But it's not like it's not quite like having Mark Andrews back, so it's not as big of a deal. But and for me, it's
I mean, you're still the guy that gets the ball to Jordan and Justin.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I downplay it, but I just not being out there was really tough for me. Like seeing the team do well and not feel like I was necessarily a part of all of it because I got hurt before we even started training camp. So I missed everything this whole year. And so I really didn't feel like I was that much a part of the team. I didn't even know a lot of the guys towards the end of the year. I didn't know, a good portion of the practice squad and guys like that because I'm in there doing my job this year was to get healthy. And so I was doing stuff while they were in meetings and while they were at practice. So I wasn't around the guys as much as I am in, during the regular season when I'm playing. So mentally that was very challenging, not being out there. I think physically it's just the whole rehab process with the torn Achilles is very difficult. It's a very long and grueling process, and it's baby steps every day. I think a lot of injuries are the same, but you don't really realize how important and how much your Achilles does until you can no longer until it's torn. You can no longer use it, and I'm having to relearn how to use my foot, how to stand on my feet. I was in a cast. I was in a boot and a cast for about 8 weeks, so I didn't stand up for I got hurt 2 weeks before I had surgery, so basically 10 weeks. I didn't even stand on my 2 feet, and that was challenging. And then it's when you start walking again, you have to learn how to stand on your feet, how to balance your foot, balance your body weight in your foot, and how to activate the muscles like your calf and both your calf muscles and your foot muscles, and how to use your toes again, and all that. It was as if I had never done it before because
oh man, that sounds rough.
Yeah, and as a parent, like you don't your kids, you don't teach them how to walk like how to stand up. They just learn how to do it by trial and error. And so as a person, you never like your brain never has to think, oh, I have to use this muscle to get my toes to do this and to balance. And so as a 31-year-old man, I was like, or 30 when I got hurt, I was like, I don't know how to tell my brain what my left leg is doing because my left leg is healthy and my right leg is all messed up. And I don't know how to get relay the messages down to my right leg because I don't know what muscles are working, And so I've had to learn a lot about how the lower leg works and all the muscles and nerves and tendons and receptors that are in your feet and your leg, in your feet and your lower leg to try to teach my brain how to use my foot again, stand up, activate my quad, do a calf raise. I think the biggest physical challenge I've had for the last couple of months is being able to do a single leg calf raise to support my body weight. And you're like me, I'm a big guy. So it's not easy picking up this weight. I got a lot of body weight, 260 pounds today. And so it's a lot of weight to pick up with one leg. And especially when I had a very traumatic injury and a totally new Achilles and a totally new lower limb. So it's been very difficult. I think I'm moving in the right direction. I'm going to try to start on the jogging on the ground next week. And then hopefully, once I can start to really do that, like running and moving on the ground a little bit faster, hopefully I can accelerate how fast I come back from here on out. Because it's about a 9-month process. The doctor that did my surgery, Dr. Robert Anderson, he basically told me, it's going to be 9 months and it's going to be long. It's going to be very hard. And you just got to stick with it and keep going every day. And it's been the hardest thing I've ever been through, mentally and physically. I've never been through anything like this before. I've never been hurt. So this is my first time dealing with it. And it's by far the hardest thing I've ever done. And, I'm just hoping that I can get out of this in the next couple of months and get back to some semblance of normalcy and get back to playing football and doing what I love to do and being out there with the guys. And, I think my wife is ready for me to get out of the house a little bit more. So she'll be excited to see me out on the field. And next year, my son will be almost two. So, he'll be able to come to some of the games maybe if we have good weather and good time and stuff like that. And, it'll be cool. So I got to be at home this year with my son for his first year. So I didn't have to miss like any of his milestones with crawling and walking and stuff like that. So that was huge for me as a parent. As a father, I want to be around those kind of events and be in my son's life and be with my wife and stuff like that. So that was a huge positive from it. And I got to, my wife and I went on our honeymoon this year, 2 years late.
Better late than never.
Yeah, exactly. So that was something we couldn't, we weren't able to do before. And so it was, there was a lot of blessings for this year. But I'm excited that this year's behind me now and I can, move forward. So I'm excited for that.
I'm sure the recovery process hasn't been the easiest at home, knowing you got a mobile little one, because they slow down for nobody.
I'll tell you what,
know that daddy's hurt.
He's definitely forced me to kind of, get going a little bit. There's no time to kind of sit around. He's kind of forced me to walk a little bit more than I maybe would have. Forced me to move a little bit faster, than I would have. So he's definitely helping with the recovery process and speeding it up a little bit. So it's fun.
That's good. I'm glad that the recovery is going well. And obviously you didn't take the Aaron Rodgers route of Achilles recovery. And I'm sure it was frustrating. And you were obviously there in some capacity. JK had the same injury.
Yeah.
And you guys probably rehab together.
I just saw JK yesterday for the first time. He's been in California and in Houston, working with his team of rehab or of physical therapists and doctors and stuff like that. I just saw him yesterday. He looks great. So I'm a little jealous. He's slightly ahead of me, even though I'm 6 weeks ahead of him as far as surgery time. But we're about in the same spot. I mean, I can. We haven't done any rehab together per se, but just talking to him yesterday, we're having similar. Things are coming up, similar issues that we're fighting through. Um, and I hope they bring him back. I think he's unbelievable talent. Man, that guy's he's been put through the ringer. He's been tested, basically his whole career in the NFL outside of his rookie year. He's dealt with significant injuries and a lot of missed time, but he's still J.K. Dobbins. If he can stay healthy and put together a year, the guy's unbelievably talented, and I hope I hope he's on the team with us next year.
We hope that he lands on his feet, and
Mm-hmm.
we a lot of us do want him back. We saw a lot of injuries at the running back position with J.K. and Keaton. I just wanted to ask you a question though. When you go to the facility with this year while being hurt, was your day longer or was it shorter? Were you still having to go to meetings and positional meetings and all that stuff while still physically rehabbing your injury?
So my day was shorter time wise. I did not have to go to the meetings and stuff like that. I had the option to go to the meetings, but um, most of the time, what happens is the trainers they don't want to take away time from the players. So when the players aren't in meetings, that's that's their time to get work in the training room and stuff like that. So then when they go to meetings, then the training room staff wants the guys that are out or hurt that take more that I've significantly more rehab than somebody who's actually playing. They're doing more maintenance stuff. I'm doing actual rehab. Uh, so it takes hour and a half, and so I would usually do my rehab during the meeting time, and then I would do my workouts similarly right after rehab during the meeting times, and then I would hang out. I'd eat lunch with some of the guys, do the sauna, steam room, ice bath, stuff like that, and then by the time they would go to practice at like 1:30, I apologize. Hold
No
on.
problem. No problem,
Can
brother.
I take a quick second? Sorry, this guy's
Yeah.
on me right now.
No problem, man. It will not be much longer, I promise you.
No, it's just this poor lady is. I'm sorry. My
You're
This
good.
poor lady was trying to get a hold of me. The Uber Eats lady. We have two German shepherds, and she was worried they were going to be able to jump over the fence to get her, and so she didn't want to get out of her car. So I had to handle that. But yeah, so I tried to stay around until they went to practice, and then
Mm.
that's around 1:30. So by then I would head home, and then I would kind of tag out my wife, and she was working at home, so she was balancing work and the baby in the morning, and so while I was gone, and then I would come home around 1:30 or 2, and then she would basically do the handoff, and then finish up her work and go do her workouts and do whatever she needed to do in the afternoon. But for a specialist, we don't have a whole lot of meetings. Um, and we do special teams meeting, and then team meeting, and that's pretty much it. So I definitely physically worked more being hurt than I did as a player, or did as when I'm normal healthy. Just didn't practice. I was working out 4 times a week, was rehabbing 4 or 5 times a week, was doing more stuff that I wouldn't do during the season because I didn't have to play. Um, so it was a different type of day. It was more intense, but it was definitely more condensed.
I got you. I was always curious. I never really asked, a player about, a former or current, how their day went at the facility when they were rehabbing. But I wanted to ask you, we talked on text message and all that, and how is shooting with Ryan Ripken going?
Oh man, I love being on Rip Show. I they got a really good thing going over there. I think it's awesome. it's I'm debate. I'm not debating. I'm going to do my own show at some point. I'm really trying to get experience in front of the camera and get networking with people that come on the show, and I'm doing some things with Fox 45 with Rocco and on Sports Unlimited, and it's this year has really put into perspective kind of what my next steps are going to be after football. Had a lot of downtime this year, so I was able to focus on things that I maybe would not have focused on in the past, or never even thought of doing. Like, for instance, I'm sitting on my computer and my gaming room, and I started reading books this year for leisure, and I'm really trying to change my I don't want to say change my perspective, but really kind of broaden my mind and expand my abilities off the field. And I use this year to kind of help me navigate that area and try to figure out what things I like to do. And Ryan was Cal Ripken Jr., as I call him. Ryan was very generous and offered me an opportunity to come on his show kind of whenever I want. And I think it's been great so far. They're doing a lot of cool stuff on the Ryan Ripken show, and they're growing very fast. And I think it's an unbelievable environment. They've had a lot of great guests on there, and I think they have a lot of different perspectives on things. And I think they do a great job of talking Baltimore just like you do, talking all things Baltimore. And then they do a little bit more of a broader spectrum of the whole NFL and kind of all of sports. And I'm excited for baseball because, Ryan's forte, if you will, is baseball, obviously, with his dad being Cal Ripken. I'm excited for what they got coming up with the baseball season, and I'm excited for the opportunity to maybe bring some of my friends on that I know throughout Major League Baseball, and just get their perspective, kind of get inside their heads and learn more. Because I know baseball. I played it for a long time, and I had an opportunity to play professionally. It didn't go so well, but I still love baseball. I still think it's the most fascinating sport. So difficult. I have so much respect for those guys, and I have some really, really close friends of mine that are in the big leagues. So I'd be excited to bring them on and talk to them and kind of see where their head's at. So it's very exciting.
That's fantastic, man. This is fun. It's a lot of work, and
Yeah.
a lot goes into it that nobody sees. But Ryan, I had Ryan on my show a couple years ago when he was first getting started after he had announced his retirement, and he's taken off. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah. He's done some. It helps when your dad's Cal Ripken, but Ryan does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
He's got a real knack for it. I think he's doing exactly what he was supposed to do in the first place. I think I'm in the same boat. Long snapping was what I was meant to do. I just didn't realize it until after I lost my dream of playing baseball. But Rip's killing it. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him in the media, the sports media realm.
Absolutely, and I know he's got to be excited. We traded for Corbin Burns yesterday,
Yeah.
and the rotation is starting to fill out nicely. So, baseball, is 2 weeks away, but
Yep.
I want to thank you, Nick. I know that you got your food waiting on you upstairs, and you gave me a half an hour of your time. I appreciate you coming on and talking with me. And before I let you go, let everybody know where they can find you on social media so they can follow you along in your journey through the Ripken show and your recovery, and then in the next season.
Yeah. So the only social I have at the moment is Instagram. It's at Nick Moore 046. I am convincing my wife that Twitter is our next move. I'm not a big social media guy, so I haven't done a whole lot of it. But I think having Twitter would be something that's very important. You can check me out on the Ryan Ripken Show. I'm usually there on Thursdays. I didn't go this week, but I was there the last couple of Thursdays. And so we have good conversations over there, talk shop, and have a blast. So you can check me out in both of those places. And thanks for
Sounds
having me
good,
on.
Nick. I appreciate you, brother, and have a good night. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday night at 8 o'clock. Bob Haney from the 105.7 The Fan 10 to 2 slot will be on the show 8 o'clock, and we're going to talk some baseball and some football. So we'll see you guys then.